Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and I'm an attorney that assists veterinary associate with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today I'm going to talk about veterinary ownership pathways. So, what are some ways that a veterinary associate can obtain an ownership stake in the clinic that they're working at, and then also some red flags to think about before you move forward. So first, there's usually some kind of timeline associated with becoming a partner or a shareholder, depending how it's structured. For the most part, somewhere between 2 to 3 years, if the owner is serious about bringing in a new partner. Now, in the employment contract, there's going to be a vague reference to potential ownership, and most owners do this for several reasons. One, it's like promising to marry somebody in 2 years. You just don't know what's going to happen in the interim period, whether it's going to be a good cultural fit with the new associate, whether the two get along. Some things can change in the owner's life. So you're just not going to get a complete structure listed in the employment contract. When I talk to veterinary associates who are, I guess have the opportunity to become a potential owner, they're always kind of surprised that there's very little detail about how to become an owner. And if the owner decides to change the structure, they don't want to be locked in. And as I said before, if there's just perhaps not a fit, so you're just not going to see specifics in the contract. It'll say something like, maybe 3 months prior to the end of the initial 3-year term, ownership and associate will discuss potential partnership options or something like that. Nothing that binds anyone to any kind of interest. Next, kind of the structure. Is it an actual buy-in? Meaning, do you have to give a lump sum of money or perhaps money over time to the owner? Some partnerships will just allow the veterinary associate to become an owner. Now, there are 100 ways of structuring this. It's not uncommon when you have like a small animal, one vet-owned clinic, for them to bring in somebody with the thought of selling it to the new associate down the road if they're going to retire. Or many veterinary clinics right now are kind of gearing up towards hoping that a corporate veterinary practice will come in and buy them out. In that scenario, usually the owner has to stick around for a period of time, usually somewhere between 2 to 5 years. So that's another profitable thing to do, is to buy into a smaller practice and then hope it gets gobbled up by these corporate behemoths that seem to be vacuuming up all of the small mom and pop practices throughout the country. The next thing would be financing options. So if you do have to provide a buy-in, it's pretty rare that they'd expect just a giant lump sum at the beginning. And honestly, most vets don't have that type of money to just dump into an ownership stake. So you could get a loan. Many places will allow the veterinary associate to pay over time. So perhaps out of whatever their profits are during the year, a portion of that would go towards the ownership interest in the practice. You don't see a ton of veterinary clinics that have 3 to 5 owners. I think that's relatively rare. I'm not sure why that is in the veterinary field, but just don't see it. Generally, it's like one owner or kind of a larger corporate practice, but pretty rare to see like a 3 to 5. Maybe if it's like a hospital or an emergency clinic, that type of thing. But just for a small, small animal practice, pretty rare to have multiple owners. Those are just a few things to think about. Now, what I would suggest is, if you're in a situation where you are being offered partnership, find a business attorney in your area to discuss, to go over the documents, because you will have to sign new documents, a partnership agreement, shareholder agreement. Many times it comes with a new employment agreement with different terms. So I would reach out to any kind of local business or corporate attorney in your area and go over everything with them so that you're kind of fully aware of what you're committing to. What happens if you want to exit? So let's say you get an ownership interest and then decide to move or leave or whatever. That's a key piece of anything, and so you definitely need to go over that with the business attorney. All right, there's a little kind of background on veterinary ownership possibilities. If you have a question about your employment contract or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the information listed below in the description. And I appreciate you watching the video.